pretty spiritual. Some people say they feel the immediate benefits of energy healing, while other people are really skeptical and don't believe in it at all.
So today we're going to be talking about what energy healing is, how it can benefit you, and how things like chakras, crystals, and everything else comes into it. Hi, I'm Shay.
And I'm Amy.
And welcome back to another episode of Pretty Spiritual. So, Hen, what is energy healing?
So energy healing is a holistic healing practice which uses different types of high frequency energy to restore balance within the body. And it can help with things like reducing physical pain, promoting well-being, and ultimately allowing your body to heal and do exactly what it's meant to do.
And there's lots of different variations of energy healing, isn't there? So lots of different modalities, but to name a few, there's Reiki, there's Sechem, there's crystal healing, there's shamanism, which is a lot more of a deeper healing. And within different religions or beliefs, there's so many different ways of healing.
Yeah, definitely.
So in the previous episodes, we spoke about chakras. So what role do our chakras play in energy healing?
So as we've mentioned before, our chakras are our energy centers within our body. So when we're having energy healing, it's really about bringing those energy centers back into balance and back into alignment. So when we're having healing, it's our chakras that we're really, really focusing on channeling that energy to. So, Hun, what are the benefits of energy healing?
So energy healing has a ton of benefits, of course, but one of the main benefits, I think, for a lot of people is that it triggers a relaxation response in someone. It forces you into that relaxed state. I can't remember the actual beta frequency or something like that. But yeah, it forces you to stop. And a practitioner will force you into a state of consciousness where you let them work. Obviously, there are people that have blockages and put up a wall, but any practitioner will work to go through those walls. So that's the first thing, a state of relaxation, which many people do not have these days. I know so many people don't stop and just relax, or they think they relax, but it's doom scrolling on their phone, and that still is not relaxation.
Yeah.
So there's that. It supports with mental and physical pain. And speaking from experience, that is one of the things that I like about energy healing and why I got into it. Of course, it doesn't take away from your standard medical care. It isn't a solution instead of, but complementary wise, perfect for that, especially as a chronic pain girly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think with the physical pain side of it, I think something that is so interesting is that I think it was the early 2000s, there was a study done at a hospital in America. And after this study was completed, they actually introduced Reiki energy healing in their hospital for cancer patients that were going through chemotherapy and radiotherapy, because it was believed to have a positive effect on people that were going through treatment in terms of providing pain relief. And I just think that speaks volumes.
It does.
For people that are skeptical, I just think that for there to have been a study and for it to be implemented in hospitals is amazing.
There are so many studies, I think, like that. And I know it's quite, not that they shout out about it, but I know doctors in this country, some of them recommend Reiki to people. And obviously there are other modalities other than Reiki, but that seems to be the more recognized one that people are aware of. And I know obviously you're trained in Reiki, I'm trained in Sechem. And if you going off piste here, if you actually look at Sechem, if you look at the family tree of Reiki, Sechem came from someone that was in the original, what do you call the people in Reiki? There's a family tree of
it's I suppose it's just the original lineage, isn't it?
That's it, the lineage. And the lineage then breaks off into Sechem. So there are a lot of modalities that are connected as well. But I think each and every one, depending on the person, is beneficial. And we know some practitioners blend modalities, almost like you referred to it as like a pick and mix.
Yeah. Whatever's needed, that's what's given.
Exactly.
But I think they complement each other so well, don't they? And I think that's something that's really amazing about energy healing as well, and anybody that's an energy worker, is that often you start somewhere, but then you're constantly kind of learning new things and adding new things
Adapting
into it.
them,
Yeah, and then as an energy healer, that then allows you to give your clients a really like bespoke treatment that is specific to exactly what they need.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for practitioners. If you can blend different types of healing, like crystal healing complements, like they all complement each other, like you said. So I think finding a practitioner that has a skill set of different ones as well, and not just focusing on a certain modality, but you know as well as me, if you're healing someone, a lot of it comes into intuition. You're taught not the basics, but the structure of the modality, but really it's your intuition and skill set as a healer that should take over after that.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And I think, like anything, the more that you do something, the more that your intuition kind of comes into play, if that makes sense.
Makes complete sense. I think then one of the other benefits is, as we spoke about in previous episodes, is the clearing of energy. So we all know energy all day, every single day. Even if you're not someone that believes in energy, if you walk into a room after someone's had an argument and you know the saying, like, I could cut the tension with a knife, you are picking up on stagnant energy. And what people don't realize is energy has a huge impact on your mood, the way that you are for the rest of the day. Your own energy and how you're feeling internally can impact a room. So we pick up on different energies all day, every single day. And some of us are good at transmuting that.
Yeah.
Some of us not so much, and we absorb that and let it impact us heavily. So energy healing is great for cleansing that stagnant energy. I'm someone that will hold on to energy because I'm terrible at transmuting, and I have to use different tools like crystals and things like that to create blockages and protect myself. But a lot of people aren't protecting their energy and absorbing a lot, so then they find after a period of time they're feeling downtrodden, they're feeling limp, like we could go into the auric field right now, and your auric field can have like slashes or holes in it, or be dragging behind you, and that is energy that impacts that. So people are walking around feeling not great.
Yeah.
Energy healing helps reset that. Like, we go for monthly energy healing sessions. We have a full reset, a full balance, we have a full cleansing. But you know as well as me, like those 1 monthly sessions aren't all that you need to be doing.
Definitely.
You need to have a full-on cleanse sometimes in a week if you've been specifically around bad energy.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the one main huge benefit to someone that, say, hasn't got chronic pain, is feeling generally okay in themselves, actually just find time to relax, having a good cleanse.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And I think you've kind of just touched on it, but energy healing is a way of learning more about yourself. And I think when you're working with an energy healer, you're going for energy healing sessions, your healer will pick up on things and will be able to communicate that with you after the session. And then if you've been feeling a certain way and what they're saying resonates, it gives you a deeper level of understanding and self-awareness, so that if you start feeling like that again in the future, you kind of start joining the dots.
You do.
And so, for example, like to your point, if you've been around somebody and they've really been draining your energy,
You become so aware of that.
You become a lot more aware of it. And it might just be that that person's going through a really, really tough time, but there might be things that you can do then to sort of protect your energy. Equally, you will start to notice when you're in certain situations and you feel like your energy's being kind of replenished and you feel like your cup's being filled back up again. it's just, again, it's that deeper level of self-awareness and understanding of what's going on in your own body. And I think going and working with an energy healer can really, really help you with that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, because I think when you start understanding energy and how it impacts you, you hear of the stories, and probably from personal reflection, you start cutting off people that energy, say, isn't down to a situation, but it's just them, and you realize that they're bad for you and you don't want that in your space anymore. You start learning what is acceptable. But also, we talk about the relationship with your energy healer. You start going regularly, and suddenly they have this deep understanding about you, and you start journeying with them, and your energy healing changes each time. So they're very good at going, okay, so we've worked on this now, but I've noticed there's a blockage here, what's going on? And you really build like this trustful relationship that
Definitely.
they're taking you on this journey for your, let's say, higher self. And it's constantly evolving.
Definitely. And I think that's a really important point. So if someone was thinking about why would you go and work with an energy healer versus
Doing
energy healing on yourself, I think similar to lots of other things in life, if you were experiencing physical pain, you might have a look online, and there might be things that you try yourself, but then ultimately you're probably going to go and speak to a medical professional. If you were struggling with your mental health, again, you might try and do certain things yourself, but then you might go and speak to a counsellor to help you. I think energy work is very, very similar, where there are things that you can do for yourself, but sometimes working with somebody else that is a trained professional, they can sometimes suggest things and help heal things that are maybe a bit of a blind spot for you, because we're so close to our own energy. There are certain things that are blind spots for us, certain things that we can't see. And sometimes working with a healer, they almost have this like bird's eye view of things. They're kind of looking at it from a different angle, and they can see more clearly what's going on in our energy field, what's going on in our chakras. And I think that can be a huge benefit. Like, there are definitely things that you can do yourself, but working with an energy healer, I think, is what can really, really transform what's going on for you.
Well, I speak from personal experience, and as a chronic ill girlie with chronic pain and who was in a really, really bad way, you got me energy healing for my birthday.
I did.
You did. And it completely changed my life. And I know we've talked about that briefly in other episodes, but the sleep I had after my first session of energy healing was the best sleep I'd had in years. And then when I really kind of committed to it, and I had no intention of going down this path myself at all, to training, but it changed my life because my mindset changed. And on top of medical help and things like that, I've managed to reverse a lot of, well, everything's changed really. I'm not on half the medications. My mindset's completely different. My pain flare-ups, although I still have them, are minimal compared to what they were before. I mean, at one point I thought I was going to be bedridden from pain, and I was so consumed by it. And I genuinely think if I hadn't have gone in, like started having energy healing, I'd be in the same position I was, relying on all these medications and doctors and being gaslit medically. So I feel like I'm living proof that energy healing can be a great tool.
It's been life-changing for you, really, hasn't it? And I know for me, it's, I wasn't experiencing chronic pain, but I know energy healing has been a huge part of my spiritual journey. And I feel like my spiritual path kind of began with energy healing. I was open-minded spiritually, but energy healing
kickstarted it.
It really did, and it really transformed the way that I see myself. It really deepened my self-awareness. I've made some huge life-changing decisions since having energy healing. going regularly has really, really just deepened my whole perspective, like changed my whole perspective of life and deepened my understanding of myself, and just it's just had so many different benefits.
Yeah.
And I think, like you just mentioned about your first healing session, you had like the best sleep of your life, which is amazing. That's obviously what you needed in that moment. And I think that's one of the other amazing things about energy healing, is that no two sessions are the same at all. And because it's working with your own energy field, it gives you exactly what you need at that moment. So sometimes you might go for energy healing one week and you're utterly exhausted, you're completely drained, you're depleted, and what you're really needing is a rebalance, a bit of a cleanse, a bit of a clear, and a really, really good night's sleep. Other times you go, you might feel like you're not really grounded, you're very chaotic, you almost feel like kind of high energy, but from like quite a chaotic kind of place. And what you actually need is some calm and some grounding, and that's what you get. Like, it's very, very different, isn't it, every single session, which is amazing because it is just working with you. And we go through so many changes day to day and week to week. It's impossible for two sessions to be the same, but it's great that it gives you whatever it is that you need in that moment. It's possible to have an energy healing session one week and feel really relaxed and just really zen and really grounded and amazing, and then the next week feel totally energized and like I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go take action. And it is just very bespoke, isn't it, to whatever you need.
It is. So I don't know about you. Have you ever fell asleep in energy healing?
I've been close to it. I don't know if I've ever actually fallen asleep.
So I used to think I was doing it wrong, because our healer would say to me, oh, most people like fall asleep and I can tap to their energy. And I'd be like, I can't fall asleep. Like, am I doing this wrong? No, I was getting what I needed from the time. And then literally my last few sessions, I am conked. I am gone. I have woke myself up snoring. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, but I don't care. And I think going into your healing, and you touched on this briefly, but going into your healing and saying to them, sometimes you might know what you need. You might, if you become more self-aware, so you might be able to say, okay, I definitely am in need of some grounding. I feel like the energy around me is a bit chaotic. I need some clearing. But 9 times out of 10, I go in and be like, do what you need to do. You're the professional. Like, I want you to tap in, see what I need. And each time I've come out of that feeling, reset, great. And sometimes, like you've said, I'm like energetic, ready to go. This podcast was literally happened on the basis of having energy healing. I went to go walk the dog because I felt a bit like, and I was voice noting you saying, I want to do a podcast. Yeah. So, yeah. And then other times you feel completely zonked and like, I need a nap.
Yeah, definitely. It's very much whatever you need in that moment.
Yeah.
So, what do people actually experience during energy healing?
Well, I just spoke about going to sleep. That say if you are someone that falls asleep, it means that you are not trying to put any barriers. If you are letting the person practicing on you take control or tap in fully. But when I fall asleep, I feel like I'm on a journey. I feel like I'm going through the motions. I feel not in my body. That's how I feel. But I can feel like that by not falling asleep as well. Like, I can be very fully conscious, and it's almost like I'm in my head experiencing like images, pictures, signs, words, everything. And it depends what kind of healing you're having, because sometimes when you do journeying, for example, which is almost like a meditation, and your healer is taking you on a journey and is speaking to you, actively taking you through, I don't know, the forest, up the hill, through doors, things like that, and you're conversing, you experience something completely different. I would say what some of the main symptoms of healing are heat patches and tingling. That's what a lot of clients would say. What about you?
So I think some people will experience changes in body temperature, like as they're being healed. So it's quite normal to either suddenly go quite hot or even quite cold. I think tingling or like pins and needles sensation is quite normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will see colours as well, different colours when they're being healed, or see like different shapes, different
Animals.
patterns, animals, images. Some people just feel really, really relaxed. Other people might feel quite anxious, especially if it's their first session or their first few sessions. Some people don't feel anything at all.
And that's okay.
And that's completely normal as well. So everyone experiences energy healing really differently. There's, as you mentioned, there's so many different modalities of energy healing that everyone has a slightly different approach. But every single person is very different and every single session is very different. So you might have a session where you feel really zen and you do just kind of go to sleep. You might have another session where you feel a little bit fidgety, a little bit anxious, or everything. It's very, very bespoke and very, very different. It's just about going with it. And I think one of the hardest things when people first start is relaxing into it and sort of opening yourself up to the healing, because you're stepping into the unknown and it takes a while to
let that guard down.
Yeah, let your guard down and build that level of trust with the person that you're going to. So yeah, very different for everybody, I would say.
Completely agree.
So we've talked a bit about how other people's energy can affect our own energy. I think a huge part of energy healing as well is obviously working with our own chakras and our own emotions. How can energy healing support with that, and what does it aim to do when it comes to like our own emotions and our own trauma?
Yeah, so trauma is a really big thing that we see in obviously energy healing, and I'm not saying everybody is traumatized, but there might be trauma you don't know that you're harboring. And we spoke about it in the chakras episode, where we hold our chakras all connect to different parts of our body and also mentally as well. But then we spoke about our armor and our left and our right. So our left is typically for our kind of female side, feminine side, and our right is our masculine side. And identifying heat spots. So a lot of people hold trauma in their shoulder. And that's where, as a practitioner, I find a lot of heat spots. And people might not realize there may be people that have mother wounds, father wounds that they haven't worked on, and it might not bother them in their day-to-day life, but it has had an impact on who you are as a person without you realizing, or maybe you do realize. So through energy healing and tapping into your chakras and tapping into different points on your body and meridians and things like that, you can identify things like experiences and traumas. So our healer picked up on like the burning when I had my hysterectomy, but she also picked up on the fact, and we mentioned this in another episode, that I had something going on in that area, which turned out to be quite dangerous, and why I ended up having a hysterectomy. So that it can be quite severe, or it can be like small things like, oh, you're harboring onto a comment that was made to you when you were like 7 years old, but that's changed the projection of how you see yourself. So I don't want to call it a small thing, but if it's had that much of an impact, but you know, different levels of things, and tapped in to that.
Definitely. It's about helping you to
grow
and heal and like let go of some of that trauma. It's helping you to process things that you don't even necessarily know are there, and to your point, you're not always consciously aware of.
No, and we hold on to so much, and we've spoke about conditioning through workplaces and life and our parents or our upbringings or whatever, and we as human beings we hold on to so much, and sometimes that isn't healthy. So energy healing can really target and identify that, because there's things about myself that I didn't actually think would never have crossed my mind as something that would be a problem, and through self-awareness and grounding.
And I think with energy healing, like we've said, the work is never fully complete.
Never.
There are things that you'll heal and that you'll deal with, and then you kind of go deeper into deeper levels of trauma, and then you can start delving into things like ancestral trauma, and you know, it's kind of like it's kind of never ending in a way. But every single time you're going deeper into your level of understanding about yourself and your emotions and your reactions and why you are the way you are. And I think healing doesn't always have to be about changing yourself. I think sometimes it's about having more awareness.
100%.
So just because you find something out about yourself in terms of you are the way you are because of this, or you're maybe holding on to this, I think sometimes there's this perception that we have to go through our lives like fixing ourselves. Not everything always needs to be fixed. Sometimes it's just about understanding yourself more, and then you have a choice on, is that something that I want to try and work on? Is it something that bothers me, or is it something that actually, no, I'm happy with that, and I understand it more now, and I'm going to give myself a bit more grace and a bit more acceptance as to why. So I think it's not always about fixing.
It's not. And I think also that life experience happens day in, day out, and you could be bumbling along absolutely fine, and then say something has put you in a bad mood at work or whatever that day, and then you go for healing, you're like, I don't like how I've reacted to this, and this has had a bit more of an impact on me than I anticipated. And clearing that and getting rid of that, life experience changes you as you keep going. It's a journey, as we say. And one of my favorite sayings, as you know, is I don't think anybody can be fully healed ever.
Yeah.
Because there is always new experiences. And my personal opinion is nobody is fully healed until they die.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. In the same way as nobody will stop learning until that. There's always something more you can learn. There's always something more that you can heal. It is just that journey of evolving through life. So how do crystals come into energy healing?
So as a practitioner, and this is a very kind of generic answer because it's a lot more complex and I don't think we have time to go through everything. So I use crystals in healing, and I know our healer uses them on me for absorption, amplification, and stabilization. So we know that crystals have different properties, and certain crystals are placed over the body during healing to support in the work that your healer is doing. And some crystals may speak to the practitioner and may not be kind of the one that matches that chakra or like that area of the body. But yeah, it's what the soul is needing, the body is needing, the energy is needing. So we'll talk about like amplification. So say if I'm working on someone that really needs to kind of work on their heart chakra, and we want to amplify the energy that's going into that. And we know in Reiki we use symbols, and so we do in Sechem as well. And I want to amplify the symbol that I'm placing within that person's heart chakra. I might use a clear quartz to amplify that. So there's different ways to do that. There's also crystal grids that you can put around people, and that's a more complex topic. But as a practitioner, I may create crystal grids around a human body to do the work that I need to be doing.
Essentially, it supports, doesn't it, the work that's already being done.
Exactly.
And I think
they're tools.
Absolutely. And I think for people who are particularly drawn to crystals, using the energy from crystals as a way to promote your own self-healing, it can be quite a good place to start. Because and if you're somebody that isn't going for energy healing but you are working with crystals, you're already doing a form of energy healing, like without even realizing it.
And that's exactly how I started out, by collecting crystals. And obviously that has now transpired that I have my own crystal shop. But crystal healing, that was the first diploma I did before I did my Sechem healing. And that is really what drew my interest in spirituality and the benefits and the powers of crystals. So before I was even having healing, I was sitting with crystals, researching what they're doing. And that's something that everybody can do if they want to start exploring that. So what is something that our listeners can do if they want to start exploring energy healing? And let's say they don't want to book in with a practitioner yet, or they just really want to start out exploring what healing looks like to them.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is really starting to understand and get to know your own energy. And I think one of the ways that you can do that really, really well is to do a body scan. I know we've mentioned this in previous episodes as well. So what I would be doing is I would take myself somewhere quiet, set the ambience, maybe light a candle, just get yourself in a position where you feel like you're not going to be disturbed for 15-20 minutes. I would close my eyes, I would do some really deep breaths and just get myself into a place where I feel like I'm connected with my body. And then I would do a body scan. So I would literally use my hands to scan my body. I would start at my head and I would go down my body. And I would just almost notice and connect with, you don't even need to do it based on your chakras. If you know your chakras, then you can start working through your chakras, but you can literally do it at organ level. So start connecting with what's going on in your body. Like, how are you feeling in your body? Is there any tension? Is there any like heat patches? Is there anywhere that just feels a little bit off? And just starting to really concentrate on those areas and like understand what's going on, and kind of asking yourself those questions of like, what's going on here in my body? Like, is there something that I'm holding on to, whether it's like physically or emotionally? And that's kind of a good place to start, I feel. Start getting familiar with whether or not you're feeling grounded. So are you feeling a little bit chaotic? Are you feeling like you're able to connect with your own body? Or are you feeling like you're just very much in your mind and you're not feeling connected, you're not feeling present, you're not feeling connected to earth, in which case you might then need to do some grounding. So it's just really starting to tap into your own energy first. And then if you feel like you want to take that a step further, it's about doing your research and finding an energy healer in, you know, your local area or even online, because you can have distance energy healing as well.
Yeah, and distance healing is great. I remember being such a skeptic, but it's actually one of my most powerful forms of like healing.
Yeah, definitely. So it is just doing that research and figuring out what you think would suit you best. Would you prefer a distance session? Would you prefer an in-person session? And just finding somebody that you connect with and giving it a try.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Pretty Spiritual.
If you've enjoyed hanging out with us, then don't forget to like, subscribe and follow along on our platforms to be the first to receive any updates.
We hope to see you on Tuesday the 14th of July for another episode of Pretty Spiritual.
Pretty spiritual.